Takes.
All right, and welcome back to another episode of Two Takes. We're going to get right down to it. Homeowners are taking cash out of their homes like ATM machines again. So a Wharton School of Finance professor, whose name I cannot pronounce, looked back at the last three recessions and said you'll notice a pattern of more people refinancing their mortgages to tap the equity in their homes, and cash out refinancing peaks about 12 to 24 months before the onset of a recession. Howard, what's your take?
Well, this is much different than our last recession because at that time, people were taking cash out of their homes to buy toys and go on vacations. This time, most people are taking money out to pay off debt,
Right.
40% to pay off debt, and 30% to repair their homes. Money well spent.
So this is actually people doing the right things this time for the most part, which is a good thing. And it looks like people are preparing for what's coming in a positive way this time versus last time going out and buying the Ferraris and the boats that they had to later give back.
Well, yeah, and this time, the only thing that I'm worried about is if they are paying off debt, now they have these empty credit cards. Hopefully they don't go back and charge them back up.
You're right. Sometimes we don't learn our lessons, right? And so all of a sudden, now, hey, wait, you know what? That purse I wanted, now I'm going to go out and buy it. So, but I think that this is good. And this is really what our loan officers and what our job is to let them know, hey, you have equity in your properties and you have all these other, these bills that you're paying. Let's use those to your advantage to lower your monthly payments and, increase the amount of disposable cash flow you have on a monthly basis.
And even better are the people who take that disposable cash flow and put it back into the mortgage
Right.
and just pay their home off quicker. This is a great way to build wealth.
Yep. So I think this is a good thing this time. And so even though it probably, look, we've been talking about this for a while. We think a recession's coming, or it's either currently in one or we're on the heels of one. But I think it looks like people are better positioning themselves this time than in the past.
Absolutely.
So what's our next topic we got here?
So our next topic, pocket listing ban will have huge impact on consumers. So right now, realtors are allowed to take a listing and then not put it in the MLS
Right.
system and try to advertise and sell it themselves. Who this helps, I do not know.
Well, we know who it helps.
Right, it helps the listing agent and that's it.
Exactly.
It's very self-serving. I don't know why sellers would allow this to happen. Is it going to be a huge impact on consumers? That I don't think so because the price isn't going to change that much. It's just you're going to see more availability of homes.
Yeah. So they call this NAR's Clear Cooperation Policy. And they said, look, it'll improve three areas: competition, consumers, and cooperation. So I think the only one that's going to lose here is the listing agent, right? Because, they can't, market it on their own. But I think this is a slam dunk, no brainer that it's going to help the consumer. It also helps the buying agents because now, it's not, they have full transparency to every MLS listing. This clear cooperation policy says that a listing agent has to put the property on the MLS within 1 day of marketing the property. And some properties never even hit the MLS before.
Now I want to see how they're going to get around this one.
Yeah.
Because those same listing agents who want to keep the pocket listings will figure out another workaround so they can do what they're doing anyway.
Yeah, so if you're a listing agent and listening to this, sorry, but I agree. I think this is good for consumers. I never agreed with the pocket listings before. I just thought it was very deceptive because I think a lot of times the listing agents weren't telling the consumer that they weren't listing the property on the MLS and then they were putting it through their email marketing or, I don't think that the sellers had any clue that was really happening.
No, why would they let it happen?
Right.
It's so stupid.
It's not good for anybody. Moving on to the next one here. So renters think that renting is more affordable. So there were some very interesting statistics in this particular article. And this was a new study done by Freddie Mac. 84% of renters think it's more affordable to rent than to own, which is a record high number, up 17% just from last year alone. And 62% of renters said they're satisfied with their rental experience. What are your thoughts?
Well, I kind of blame our industry that they're just uninformed.
Right.
We also look in the statistics, And 42% of renters pay more than a third of their income toward their rent, where only 24% of homeowners pay more than a third of their income to their mortgage payment.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, so the renters, I think that they just don't want the hassle. They think it's better to rent because they don't have to worry about repairing the property. It's, what we just talked about. They don't get that appreciation in value. They're not paying them. Part of the payment when you pay your mortgage is principal.
Right. For
most mortgages anyway. So that is giving yourself money every month. And they're not doing that when they pay rent.
Well, the two things that really scare me, one is what you just said, is that it's not like their rent is cheaper as in a comparison to what their income is. The other thing is 18% of renters said they were not, or they were never interested in owning a home. So what scares me is their rent isn't cheaper than their mortgage. They're not saving any money. And look, we've been looking at people's financial profiles for a combined 50 years. It scares me because unfortunately, when I look at people's savings patterns, their home is really their only forced savings. And now that people are saying, or 18% of them are saying, hey, I don't ever need to own a home, that scares me for the future of what their retirement is going to look like.
And that is scary. I think that this is a delayed effect. I think this goes back to these younger generations that are living longer at home. If they do rent, they have roommates,
right?
So it's not so expensive for them, and they're not really ready to get into adulthood yet. I think it'll be delayed, and you'll see these numbers come down as they get a little bit older.
Yep, I don't blame them for delaying it a little bit. And what's our last topic here?
So millennials don't trust lenders of the housing market. So how do we reach them? How do we make them feel better? One of the most defining characteristics of the millennial generation is the financial crisis that their parents went through.
Right. Yeah.
And they watched them lose homes and they watched them, go down financially. As a result, they're doing these different studies, and 92% of millennials stated that banks could not be trusted. They just see the bank as the bad guy these days, and we have to get over that. And what do we do to satisfy them?
Well, is it bad to say that I don't disagree with the fact that you shouldn't trust your bank? Like, the bank is a for-profit company, right? They're doing what's in their best interest in trying to make money. I don't really think the bank is doing a great job of educating consumers. I think that they provide different vehicles for them, whether that's a checking account, savings, or whatever. But I really think it's up to us as advisors to educate, whether in this case it's the millennials. I think it's important for us to educate them on all aspects that we can, as far as getting ahead, saving for retirement, building equity, buying investment properties, and still talking about how real estate is the pathway to becoming financially independent. But yeah, I don't think that banks are trustworthy in general as an organization.
Yeah, look what happened with Wells Fargo.
Yeah, no, Wells Fargo's still taking a beating, and
right.
I
think
cards.
That through what this article was talking about is how we should be treating these millennials, and I don't think it should just be them. I think what they mentioned should be to everybody. We should make sure that everybody feels safe. We should be transparent with everybody.
Right.
We should give everybody choices, and we should be very collaborative with them and make them knowledgeable about what they're doing.
And the other thing that I said real quick, just to wrap up here, is that they said half of people, and this is a little bit sad to me, half of the millennials surveyed said they don't have anyone to turn to for financial advice. So for that right there, that should really hit home with us, that it's really important for us to take on that onus of giving good advice, leading them, giving them options, talking them through their options, and just not being an order taker.
No, I agree 100%, and that's on us. We need to educate them. I do think there should be some financial literacy in schools, though.
Absolutely.
I think they should teach them about this stuff.
Absolutely. So, guys, thanks for joining us again on another episode of Two Takes. Leave some comments in the comment section below. Also, make sure you subscribe wherever you're watching this, whether it's YouTube or Facebook. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can catch all of our future episodes. I'm Chad Riedlinger.
And I'm Howard Vernick, and thank you very much for joining us.
Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.